it's me, Keanu Reeves. Will you be my girlfriend and send me money? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outside the Fox, where we explore what's happening online and why it matters. I'm Kim Horcher.
My name's Ajay Patel, and today, Kim, we are talking about AI-generated scams. So, I have to ask you, have you ever been scammed?
I encounter scammers almost constantly because I have a phone and internet presence, but I actually helped a friend last week who was getting to be the target of an AI job scam
Oh, what
where,
happened?
well, I think this person is pretty intelligent. And what was happening is they said, okay, I am a hiring person from Nordstrom and I want to hire you for this director level role. And we're going to do the interview on Teams, which, okay,
Sure.
that doesn't sound like
It's legit,
malware.
right?
And it is Teams, it's normal. But the AI is asking all these questions and it's long. It's like, how would you handle this
Right.
situation? What's that? What's this? And it went on and on and on. And at the end, it was like, congratulations, you are hired at Nordstrom. And that is not how job interviews work.
But what's the goal of that?
I think the goal is to get personally
Data?
identifying information at some point, like give us your socials.
Yeah,
Or social security, not your social media. And
Sure.
maybe, I don't know, but he saw that and he was like, no, something is fishy. I'm going to stop.
Luckily, we have a guest here today to educate us much better on the topic of deepfakes online. He is a machine learning engineer at Mozilla AI, Nathan Brake. How you doing?
Everybody good. How are you guys doing?
Trying to get to the bottom of some AI scams today.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
As you said, I'm a machine learning engineer at Mozilla AI, and a lot of what I spend my time on day to day is working on building tools for developers that are building systems on top of AI, like large language models, in these things called agents. And at Mozilla AI, we spend a lot of time trying to help make sure these systems are transparent and safe and reliable. And so that comes down to a lot of, what you just mentioned with scams, where these AI systems are super powerful and they can make our lives so much easier in a lot of ways. But they also have some downsides of they can be used in the wrong ways to trick us. And it can be really tough to know whether you're being scammed or not.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting smarter and smarter. Do you know, kind of offhand, what are the scams that are going on currently with AI?
It's kind of interesting to see the evolution of how scams over, email and text message and social media have evolved over the years. I feel like it started off as, you get these emails, they're from really like strange email addresses with all kinds of grammatical errors, claiming there's some African prince that needs money immediately. And they're not nuanced at all, right? You read it and you're like, the English doesn't make sense. It's from this weird email address, and it's pretty easy to discard it as fake. And they've started to get a little bit more advanced, let's say, where now maybe the English and the grammar isn't completely off, but they're still pretty direct with their calls to action, let's say.
I had kind of a two-part question here. One being, what is, the scam that we're seeing the most or that you are seeing the most? And is there something that's kind of caught you by surprise? Obviously, we all have this experience with the prince asking for a bunch of money through maybe an email form, but now it's catching us through different forums, whether it's a phone call, a text message, a Teams meeting.
LinkedIn,
Exactly.
Teams.
Are there any of those avenues that are catching you by surprise as well?
There definitely are. So one of my colleagues pointed me towards this awesome database online called incidentdatabase.ai. And people submit all these ways that they've seen these AI generated scams be reported in the news. And through that site, you get a really interesting perspective about what the new up and coming scams are. And one of the ones that's been happening a lot recently that I've seen is similar to the Teams call, where somehow you get scammed into getting onto this call, a Zoom call or a Teams call, and there's actually a AI generated video of someone that either a business partner or a celebrity, but they make some kind of motion saying like, my audio's not working or something, and then they send a message in the Zoom that says, in order to get the audio working, you need to install this plugin, and then you install the plugin, it hacks all your systems. So it's stuff like that you're like, oh no, like it could be your mom on a Zoom call that says, I'm having technical problems. And it's actually someone that like generated a fake video. Maybe I'm an AI generated video right now.
Well, we're both horrified and scared now.
Yeah.
I've definitely been caught off guard by some of these fakes
I
slash
didn't
deep
know they
fakes.
were deep faking people you know.
Isn't that wild? I
That's so
remember there
scary.
used to be like a certain gloss to AI generated content. And now, like a lot of times the NBA season just finished and I would watch a lot of these post game conferences, like the interviews, and they would just have the coach up there saying all types of wild things. And then you come to find out, oh, this was completely fake. And I feel like it's just gotten that much more advanced. So on that topic of fake slash deep fakes, could you kind of explain to us what is a deep fake?
I mean, a deep fake at its core is just uh, a more advanced way of presenting as somebody else, whether that's pretending to be someone else's voice. So it's called like cloning their voice. Like you copy their voice and then you can make it say whatever you want it to say. Or the same with videos where you can basically, if you have enough video of someone doing things, you can train a model like an AI system to be able to reproduce video of that person in different contexts. There's some awesome uses for this. Like there's a podcast that I listen to that sometimes he's getting sick. And so he says, okay, now I'm going to have my AI system read this paper for me. And then he tells you like, I'm going to have my cloned voice read this. And then there's a switch that you can barely tell. And it's his like AI clone. But then obviously that's a useful purpose, but then when it turns into nefarious purposes, like trying to pretend to be somebody else to scam them, then I think that's more how you would call a deep fake.
That's horrifying. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I remember a while back there was this video of Will Smith eating spaghetti that was AI generated.
Okay.
It looked so bad, like the spaghetti and
Sure.
skin were molding, like unnatural human jaw movements. But there's a new video of Will Smith eating spaghetti that is a deep fake, and it looks real. So things are just getting better, and by better I mean worse in terms of scams.
And I think that Will Smith video was from like a year ago, or
Yes.
a year and a half ago. Like it was not long ago that Will Smith had like 15 fingers and was just like, making a mess of spaghetti.
Oh,
And now it looks like it's really him.
I do remember this now with the 15 finger thing.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
In this world of, deep fakes, for someone that doesn't have as much exposure to them, do you have a piece of advice to someone listening that is an easy way to spot one, to see something and say, okay, I know that that is AI generated and not authentic?
I think the great thing about AI generated scams is that a lot of the ways that you find them and pick them out are the same as they always were. The biggest one, if you ever hear something that sounds too good to be true, it still probably is too good to be true. If someone says, buy this Dogecoin and in a day it's going to be through the moon and you're going to make a ton of money, it's probably not. It's probably not going to happen.
Oh, man.
AJ. Are there any visual indicators, or is it at this point so advanced that not really?
Currently, I think there are still some indicators. Like Will Smith no longer has 15 fingers, but maybe if you look closely, he might have like a tiny extra finger on his video. Like there might still be something off, whether that means that like there's shadows coming from different directions that are weird. I think it's just important to be really careful with every link that you click and email that you open to look to see what the address really is and who it's really coming from, because those are the things that are still reliable to look at. And if it is a Zoom link from someone claiming to be Will Smith that wants to talk to you, but it's coming from some crazy link, it's probably not Will Smith.
If
Right,
it's
like
too
those
good to be true.
those celebrity dating scams that are like, it's me, Keanu Reeves. Will you be my girlfriend and send me money? Yeah, probably not.
And there's such a long list of like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok ads of AI generated celebrities pushing like this meme coin or some cryptocurrency that like you watch it and you see like, oh, this really looks like that person. But why would they be pushing this random thing that doesn't make any sense that's leading you to this other strange link?
We might be getting a little bit philosophical here, but in the current state that we're at with this, the amount of deep fakes that we're seeing, do you see it getting better, whether that's the filtration by either the social media company or the people, or do you think this is only kind of just ramping up and we can expect to see this balloon a little bit larger?
I'd be lying if I said that I knew for sure which way it's going to go. But I can say that there is a lot of work that's going into um, guardrails, like how do we make sure that these systems don't go the way we don't expect, and also how do we catch systems that are doing things that are wrong. I don't know if I would say that we have like a reliable way to stop it or to filter it out yet. Um, but I think necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Are there ways that people can protect their own digital identities that you can think of?
It's again like the consequences are more severe maybe with AI generated scams and identity protection and all of that. But I think a lot of the standard strategies for protecting your identity and yourself still remain the same. Being careful where you give out your information online, to be careful who you're sharing your information with. And all the great thing about all the social networks and browsers and everything is that you can control how much you share in a lot of senses. There's a lot of privacy settings that you can control, that should help with this. But I think it really is just being careful and not nothing. Very rarely is something so urgent that you need to provide some critical piece of information super fast.
In your day to day, do you often run into instances where you're training a model around malware and phishing?
I think we work a lot in terms of like detection, a lot with like text generation. So how do you detect whether this text is not what you expect, and using more advanced systems to try to like monitor this over time, as opposed to just like, is there a bogus link that's going to this random spot?
I would also assume on the other side, right, on the deepfake slash scam side, there's also a model running to be more better at being a scam. So how does that work when one side is trying to detect scams and build a way around that while the other side is trying to kind of Trojan horse at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like the spam filters on your emails as well, right? It's like this constant game of the spam filters are trying to catch those emails before they get to you, and the spammers are trying to figure out a way to bypass the spam filter. And I think it's going to be a lot of the same way with the AI generated scams, that you're kind of chasing each other, to try to find out, like, okay, what's a good way of detecting this scam? And then once you find that, they come up with a new way to try to circumvent it. And it's kind of this back and forth. And as you said, you're training models at this point, which is taking a lot of information and like trying to condense it. And you're like, the attackers are doing that, and the defenders are also doing that to try to prevent it. And it's just, it goes round and round.
I mean, are they even training off of the same data?
It's a great question, and no one really knows. That's kind of the open question about model providers too, like ChatGPT. Nobody really knows what data is trained to make that work. You can make guesses. It's probably the whole internet, and there's the attackers are probably also training on the whole internet.
A couple episodes ago, we talked pretty extensively about two-factor authentication. Could AI change how we verify our identity online?
We used to be able to, like we said, look at the email address, and if we missed looking at the email address, then we could tell by the text. And now maybe we can't tell by the text whether it's a scam or not, but we can still tell by the email. So the two-factor authentications are still secure so long as you're not fooled into giving someone the second factor.
Nathan, another question for you. Is there anything that you're doing at Mozilla AI that you wanted to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now we're working on a library called AnyAgent, which is really built for software developers that are building these agentic systems, which have the ability to, help to answer questions and complete tasks, that are given also access to different systems. And part of what we do is not only helping people build these systems, but also helping give the tools to evaluate whether they're doing the right thing. So when you think about AI agents, they may not only just like answer like ChatGPT, but they may have access to different information sources. Like maybe they can browse the web. So if they get asked a question, they can look on the internet quick to find the answer before they give it back to you. And we're working on building a system that helps you as a developer, or as someone using it, to know what that agentic system did to answer the question. So that's part of what we're doing to try to help improve the reliability and transparency of these systems so that people can actually know not only what this AI system did, but also what steps it took to get there.
All right. Well, before we go, Nathan, can you tell us anything that will make me less scared?
Common sense is amazingly helpful. And if you rely on common sense and not doing things quickly, you are still good to go in the AI scam era. As long as you continue to look at who's sending you messages and look at the addresses, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's been incredibly helpful. We have learned a lot. Thank you, Nathan, for dropping in and giving us a lowdown on AI-generated scams and how to avoid them.
Thanks. It was my pleasure.
All right, and this question is for the audience. Have you ever seen an AI-generated scam, or have you been scammed yourself? Please let us know.
Subscribe to the channel and be sure to download Firefox because you know it's the best. We'll see you next time.